And we are back. This is episode 72 of the Baschamania podcast, and I am your host, Justin Basch. This Sunday, Nazar Kulchytskyy retired at Rumble on the Rooftop, and today he joins the show to talk about his career, his retirement, what's next, and so much more. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen. Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Overcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure to subscribe to Baschamania. And if you enjoy this episode, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts.
It's Baschamania! Let me tell you something, brother. He gave us everything he had in him tonight. What you gonna do when Baschamania runs wild? Oh, it's gonna be a good one. And business just picked up here on the podcast. Oh, yeah.
All right, we are here with Nazar Kulchytskyy. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Where did you come up with that Instagram name? It's got to be one of the coolest handles out there.
So a lot of people couldn't pronounce my last name, and in Ukraine, it just sounds simple, Kulchytskyy, and we have different letters out there. But then in English, they have to translate those letters, and I feel like they put double Y in the end for no reason. So a lot of people get confused, like, how do you say this last name? I was like, start with cool, just like cool, and end with just, that's it. It's not that complicated.
Well, I love the way it's written out. I love it. And speaking of the Ukraine, so you were born in the Ukraine. What got you started in wrestling?
So I was 7 years old. I had two groups, two sessions in my town about 10,000 people or so. And first one was soccer. And honestly, I wanted to be a soccer player, just like every single other kid in Ukraine, Europe. And I came to soccer practice, and they told me that I'm a little too young. I should come back next year. And then I checked it out wrestling. My dad brought me over, and I kind of, just keep going, just keep wrestling, get my ass whooped a lot. I got beat up all the time. I wanted to quit, but my dad just kind of like, it'll be all right. The coach says that you have potential. You should stick to it. And I stuck to it. So.
And how long did it take until you felt like, okay, I'm starting to actually realize I'm pretty good at this thing?
I would say my first tournament that I won, I believe maybe 4 months after I started wrestling, 4 or 5 months or so. I felt like getting better and better because I would start beating those kids that I used to lose to all the time. So I would say at that point, as soon as I got that first tournament I won, it was my second tournament ever. The first one I got I lost pretty bad. And then second one, I beat all those kids that I lost to. And that feeling of winning, just kind of got to me. And I was like, this is amazing. I want to feel like this all the time. And it just got me into it. I got in love with that process.
And you did have so much success early on. I mean, you were, a 5-time cadet national champ over there? Like, what do you think led to all that early success?
God, I had a good system. My coach was on me. My coaches always made me do extra. So you have practices for telling me, hey, you have to lift right after. And not a lot of kids have after every single thing. Coach never really told me to do it anymore, but it just became a routine, and consistent training that every time I had to lift and I felt stronger than other kids. I wrestled always older kids as well, and that helped because I always got pushed.
Is there anything that you look back on? You mentioned wrestling older kids. Everybody's always looking for an edge up on how to get better. Is there something that you look back and say, man, if I would have done this more, or something that you can pinpoint and say, this is what people should be doing?
Yes. So sometimes there's a big tournaments, and once in a while, I just kind of all right, so this is a little easier bracket. I might cut down to this bracket and win it. Find the biggest competition as possible. So what do I would change? Competition I can wrestle. It just doesn't matter win or lose. Have better, tougher matches, and it's how you learn for those matches. You learn from the top competition. And that's what I would be doing if I, I knew that, I would probably change this for sure. Just
And not that you didn't
trying to
already
get
have so much success, because you did have so much success, even everything you did. So I can only imagine how much more you would have had.
Yes, I think I would get pushed even more, and I would probably be an even better wrestler than I am today.
I think it was when you were about 16 years old, you migrated to the United States, right? What was that process like?
That was tough. So back in Ukraine, everything was great. I made my first. So there was no world championship in cadets. I made my first national European championship team, right? And I did pretty good. I took third. Actually, ended up losing to Aliyev Haji, who's the 3-time world champion now.
Yep.
And I had him Italy, who ended up winning my bracket Olympic champion from Joe. So I felt those guys are 1 year older. I have 1 more year to go in European championships, and then hopefully they go back with worlds again, So I was in the right track. I wanted to keep wrestling. I felt like I was supported by my club out there. Great job. So I didn't want to go to US, but my dad kind of think about your future, not just a couple of years from now on, opportunities. So I trusted my dad. I came with my dad and mom, and I love that he made me do it, because he was right 100%.
And what was that transition like?
So when I got to US, I didn't speak any English. I thought that I was speaking English, I thought that I would be all right, because a few words here and there, and I feel like I watched some movies, I can understand a little bit. And then I got that, and my first conversation ever, I couldn't understand anything. And I just straight up got breath. I was like, wow, it just hit me. Like, I'm here, I don't speak any English, I can't communicate. I was sad.
Yeah, I can imagine. How different was wrestling when you got here?
Honestly, I feel like I always wrestle like juniors and senior level guys already back in Ukraine. So going to high school and wrestling these guys right here, I felt like it was easy, especially on my feet. I was already a good wrestler, wrestled best guys in the world. So I felt good, felt great. And I came in March, so folk style season was over, and I never heard about folk style before in my life. So jumped to the freestyle tournaments, and I did pretty good. I won every single tournament until Fargo, and all the way until Fargo semifinals. I ended up losing to Andrew Alton, a close match, and I ended up taking third place. So felt good.
When I was doing some research on you, I saw that you didn't compete your senior year because you were considered a professional already. So I'm very curious what happened there.
So after that Fargo year, they ranked me second in the country in folk style, and I was very excited about that because I never wrestled folk style before in my life. But there was a lot of noise about around Wisconsin, who's this guy and why he's ranked so high and why he never see him before,
right?
Things like that. And I was excited. I was learning how to get out on bottom. I have my own little special, unique style. Just kind of reach back and like toss. Did all that.
Right.
And I was just excited to compete. And but then WIA, Wisconsin Federation, just said, hey, I have no more eligibility because I graduated from Ukrainian school already. And there's no way I'd be able to compete, even though I was still 17 years old kid. And I still take some classes, in high school, but all my credits transfer. There's no more credits left, no eligibility. And sorry, you cannot wrestle. That's what they told me. And it hit me hard because I was really looking forward to it. Like, I knew how big is a state tournament here, in Wisconsin, and I was very excited about all of that. And yeah, so all I had to do just watch my teammates wrestle, and I would just help them out and didn't support them, and that's about it.
And that had to give you more of an inch to compete. And then I'm curious what led you to the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh where you wrestled, which, by the way, it is a D3 program, and I want to hear your perspective too. Did you know the differences between D1 and D3? And did you have a preference on what you wanted to do?
Honestly, I didn't know much about a difference. I knew there's university. I know if you graduated university, it's very needed in this country, not just like in Ukraine, So I knew that I want to go to university. I want to graduate, and get a diploma. And and I have a bright future after that. It's pretty much what I've been told. It's what I believed in, and I didn't know much difference. And so what happened after Fargo, I had some schools been talking to me in Division 1 and 2 and 3, and but so after that, I didn't wrestle folk style season, okay, and I was kind of out of scene. And then after folk style season, I was started jumping to freestyle, and I had an old injury, tweaked my ACL, and I completely tore my ACL in one of those freestyle tournaments right after that. So I had to do surgery, and I was out for about 6 months. And I feel like a lot of schools been stopped talking to me because of that.
Sure.
And I don't know what's going on. I was just doing my rehab, recovering. I pretty much didn't wrestle for an entire year, other than that little tournament that I tore my ACL.
Yep.
So yeah, and I was out, and the reason I came to Wisconsin because one man, his name is Larry Marcianda. Backstory: before, when I was 15, I was trying to email people all over U.S., and he's the only one who responded to me and told me that he would love to have me, if I'll ever come over here. So that's why I came there. And then Larry found Mel Dahl, who was in Prairie du Chien at the time. That's why I went to Prairie du Chien High School and was there. But then Larry also told me, okay, so here's the story, Nazar. You're recovering after your surgery. You should come over to University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. They have a great doctor who was a doctor for Green Bay Packers. And he's going to do your rehab. And you're going to get back strong on your feet, and then you do whatever you want to do, what do you decide? I also was looking to go to Colorado Springs and just wrestle freestyle. That was my actually plan in the beginning, but then I kind of changed it up because I actually wanted to graduate college.
Sure.
And, and I came to Oshkosh, and I met great people, and they helped me out a lot with school. They helped me out, I didn't speak much English still, but they helped me out a lot. And just been super supportive, and I got healthier, and I ended up wrestling that year, with a big brace, and wrestled good my freshman year. I was 12-0, and I broke my foot right before conference championships, and
dang.
And doctors said that I'm out for a year. So,
well, I didn't know you broke your foot there. So
for what I understand, doctors told me that I was overcompensating on one leg because I use the other leg way more.
Sure.
Because my ACL and I still wrestle with a brace on, I was very careful and overcompensating. I jump a lot of rope as well, and kind of jump on one leg way more than another. And it's like chronicle thing, and up just slowly kind of something happening, and then I wrestled a tournament and just felt worse and worse every match. And my 12th match, my last match in that year, I wrestled, I believe it was finals or semifinals. I wrestled with a pretty much broken foot. I felt it, but nobody knew that. And I ended up barely winning that match somehow, wrestling with one leg. And
adrenaline.
Yeah, adrenaline, absolutely. But the thing is about if I would never wrestle the last match, I would still have one more year of eligibility just because I wrestled that last match, and it's 12
Wow.
matches, and it's exactly 1/3 of the season. I couldn't take the year back because of that.
That's crazy. And I mean, you did come back strong. You were a 3-time NCAA champ. I think you were a 2-time Wrestler of the Year. You did have so much success. Was that your expectation heading into college?
Yes. My expectation is to win as many as possible. I would say I didn't know the system. I didn't know the difference between Division I, Division III. I just wanted to win. I know there's NCAA championships, and it's a big deal, and I just wanted to win. And as soon as I won one time, I have 2 more years, and I was like, I just keep winning it. I just keep going, winning it, because it felt great.
And what was your expectation for the senior level after college?
Well, I love freestyle. I wrestled freestyle all my life.
Yeah.
So I'm back to a style that I love the most. And I knew it's going to be hard, but I wrestled only one tournament in freestyle, and when I was in college, and that's after winning my sophomore year national title, the first national title I won. I kind of wanted to know how am I going to do in freestyle against everybody. So I went to FILA Juniors that year. I was in Madison, only 2 hours away from Oshkosh. And I actually ended up winning that tournament. So I felt great. And then it's another reason that, and I didn't have citizenship yet, so I couldn't go to world championships or even trials, to try for junior team.
How important was it to you when you finally got that citizenship to be able to compete for the chance to represent the U.S. in a tournament like the World Championships or like the Olympic Games?
I mean, it's very important to have the opportunity, to go to trials and just do your best. Everything is fair, It wasn't fair that I never able to wrestle folk style in college, but this is all fair. Now the best guy goes and you have a chance, and loved it. And to be citizen of the greatest country in the world is unbelievable. So I love it. I loved it.
And, when you start wrestling so young, and you're so good so young, like you have early success in wrestling is such a tough sport, and then if you don't accomplish a goal like a world champion or like an Olympic champion, do you look back and think you would do anything different from maybe I would have tried to peak at a different time, or maybe I would have tried to do this, and, you had injuries with an ACL, a foot. What do you think of when you look back on the longevity of your career?
It's a really good question. I would probably, there's a couple of things that I would have done differently probably, but that, I was thinking about it, but I don't really want to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
The thing is, I have regrets. I don't have regrets. Whatever, I give 100% of effort and soul into it. Yeah. And all those people that helped me out and throughout my career, I appreciate them so much, because they helped me out and they made me who I am today. Every single coach I had, every single training partner I had, every single supportive people who's, my fiance, my friends, they always checking on me and always send me motivational stuff. They, I really appreciate everyone. So I have no regrets. Maybe I've done something, maybe not, but I know that I did a lot of things right. And I was going 100%, in order to achieve my goals and dreams. And maybe I came a little short from it, but at the same time, I accomplished some things that I'm proud of, like made a national team and made a U.S. Open finals and made a Pan Am finals and, and things like that. Represent Titan Mercury, was a part of World Cup team. There's a lot of things to be proud of. Won a lot of big international tournaments in place. So obviously, I'm that kind of guy who looks back and like, yes, I didn't make a world team, or I didn't place at Worlds and win Worlds, but I beat some of those guys who placed the Worlds. Yeah. And it's what it hurts that I was there. I know I could beat there. It just in U.S. competition just so big. It's really hard to have amazing trials and beat everybody. And I looking up to those guys who do that because it's very impressive. It's very impressive to do it in this country. And so, but I have no regrets. I love my career. I met so many amazing people. I trained with the best people in the world. Jordan Rose, his partner in 2017 for an entire summer and helped him to win Worlds in 2017. And it was a great experience. It made me a better wrestler and better coach. And so I would take anything back. I feel like I could maybe do a little bit things of different, just like you said, if I look back, but I have no regrets, and I felt like I did a lot of things as well. So.
And, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning about you, telling him you were coming on the podcast, and you do have so many great memories in the sport, and I know for him, and for me, it's probably one of my most memorable is when you helped Titan Mercury in the U.S. win the Clubs Cup in 2016, and you beat Iran in the finals. It was an amazing match. And I'm curious, when you look back, you have so many different medals and memories like training with Burroughs for the Worlds in 2017. What are some of your most memorable moments in matches that you reflect on?
So there's a couple of them. One of them, obviously, was that World Clubs Cup for Titan Mercury, because Titan Mercury supported me for 6 years nonstop, and they were amazing at it.
Yep.
So just to give back to that club and be that key match, ended up, one of those key matches, ended up give them the title to be the best club in the world, was awesome. And the most fun part about that was I was in Ukraine. It's supposed to be in Iran, but they rescheduled that tournament to Ukraine, to my home country, where there's so many people that know me, was watching and followed that tournament. And I ended up beating really tough Russian who wrestled for Iranian team in order for us to win as well. And it was just unbelievable. Like, that moment was very special. And another moment to make my national team in 2018 when I was banged up for an entire year. But, somehow I came back and beat the top guy, to make the national team at the trials 2018. I was losing that match too, and I pull it off and get the takedown in the end, and then scramble in the end, and I get it out of there. I give everything I had. So that was very memorable as well. And there's a couple of them, but or Dave Schultz even winning the tournament 2018 and wrestling the finals against world silver medalist from Russia, and pull it off that match and won that match and won Dave Schultz tournament and be outstanding wrestler in that tournament was amazing. I feel like it was great as well. So It's been some great.
And you mentioned these matches and these moments, and I think back to watching these matches and watching your career, and you've always seemed like you have such a fire burning within you. You always give 100% effort. You're always trying to, you're not taking any shortcuts. You're giving it everything you have. When you're training for matches like this and you're competing in matches like this, where does that inspiration, where does that motivation come, whether it's in a match, whether it's training with Burroughs, whether it's these athletic challenges I've seen you do? Where do you always find that motivation to continue to take it up a notch?
Well, I would try to make little challenges for my workout and trying to do different things, because a lot of times when you have one routine and you go all the time, same, it just gets old. Yeah. So I try to always find a new workout. I try to find more fun in my training, and that way it's different, and in ways kind of drives me, and I can do this thing. Because if you keep doing the same thing over again, it gets old. So I always trying to find different things and put in my training. That way it keeps it, exciting, I would say. And in matches, for example, there's really big matches coming up. I know that I still have a lot to prove because I'm from Division III. Those guys, more people know them. For example, my first World Team Trials, I wrestled Derek St. John. He's an NCAA champion. He's a big deal. And I have a lot to prove. I have nothing to lose in that match. So I find that a lot of motivation that I got to prove that I can compete with those guys and I can beat that guy, and I'm in that winning those matches. And it feels amazing. So I just want to keep proving that I'm there, I'm tough, and a lot of times I felt like that, this big social media places didn't really talk much about me because I'm just from a smaller division, from a smaller school. So I had a lot to prove, and I feel like that's what really drove me in all those years.
And, when you start talking about recently in the retirement, I guess I'll first go back to the Bill Farrell, where I was there, and I remember watching those wins over Mekhi Lewis and Tyler Berger, and I'm like, you looked dominant. Like, how did you feel leading up to the initial Olympic trials in April?
I felt good. I felt pretty good, especially in New York. I felt great. So the reason I'm retiring, because my body's always hurting, not a lot of people know about that, but in 2018, I had a struggle year, but still make the best year off of it. My neck was messed up. Yeah. I have a nerve, I have bulging disc, and it went into my arm. So, I always been hurt. And then New York tournament, the first time I felt like I'm good again, I'm great. And then I get banged up after that in training, So the past 2 years, it's such a roller coaster. When I wake up every morning, I have 3-4 things going on with my body. Either it's neck and hip and knee and shoulder. And I did my pec muscle surgery as well, so I was recovering last year. And so there's too much going on. But actually in New York, when you saw me wrestle, I felt decently good. like before 2018, so that's why I had a pretty decent tournament out there, and I taken third in such a loaded bracket.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then when the Olympic trials end up getting canceled and the Olympics are postponed, like, what was your initial reaction to all that?
My first initial reaction was like, oh wow, like so also we went to Cuba. It was my last tournament before that, and I started getting back to that place that I was like, all right, I'm start feeling better, almost the best I ever felt.
Yeah.
So I was ready to roll. I was ready to go, and everything got postponed. It just cut. It's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah.
So first reaction is like, I was ready to go. I was speaking right time. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And then it just done. And then I was like, well, now we had to reevaluate and see what's going on. So my first thing was like, all right, stay positive, stay positive. Think about, like, you have more time to get better and keep improving. And other side was like, well, do you want to go one more year or not? And I had that, in my head, and I wasn't sure what I'm going to do. And then I started coaching, and started coaching from June 1st and opened my little wrestling club called Team Nazar Training Center. And more and more kids showed up, and I just fell in love with coaching. I used to love coach. I very passionate about coaching, but I had a really good group of kids, and just more and more and more started showing up. And I was like, wow, that's actually what I want to do. And I was planning on doing that. So it's getting big here in Wisconsin, and I love it. So after a month or two, I was like, all right, I think I just transitioned in coaching. And then I got a phone call about that Beat the Streets, Chicago. And I said, yes, it'd be perfect because it's going to be perfect ending to my career. And I just started focusing on coaching 100%. So that's how everything went pretty much.
So it was that fast of a transition in your mind and heart where it's like, you were kind of deciding, do I want to go another year or not? And then you open up your club not knowing. And just like that, what was it about the club and coaching the kids that really gave you that excitement and passion for it, do you think?
Well, sometimes. So I've been wrestling, and I've been selfish a lot through my career, just focusing on myself all the time. You have to if you compete and trying to be the best in the world. And I just realized that I've been doing it for so long, and I have many opportunities to make the team and just wrestle in general. And when I started coaching, I realized that wrestling is bigger than just me. I feel like it's so rewarding to see those guys getting better and help them. And there's so many kids that you can help, in the community. And it just felt even more rewarding and more needed to getting hand raised, from my match than the kids that I'm helping are so happy to improve and get better and reach their goals. So I felt that moment that, I love coaching, and I love to see those kids win, and I love to see those kids improve and see how happy they are and how am I needed in the community. So I realized that it's just bigger than me,
Yeah.
It's bigger than me.
And I know you're new to coaching, so I don't know how much thought you've given this, but, as an athlete, as a wrestler, you have so many aspirations and things you want to attain, whether it's a national championship, a world championship, a Pan Am championship, all these different titles and accolades. As a coach, do you have specific, post-competition aspirations for yourself?
Yes, my dream is to have a student who's going to win Olympic Games. That's my big goal, and that's what I'm working towards to. I try to each kid. I have a lot of great talent, a lot of great kids, and I know that if they're gonna have a right guidance, eventually, one of them, hopefully multiple of them are gonna do great things at senior level and post college. I believe in that. So I have a lot of really tough talent in here, and you guys better pay attention. Those guys are coming to win title. So my main goal is to make Olympic champion. That's the goal.
I love it, man. And, you have been somebody who's so easy to root for, and the whole community has enjoyed watching you. What can the community do, if anything, to help support you in this transition to a coach, running your club? Like, is there anything the wrestling community can do to help you achieve these goals at this point?
Just be supportive of me, just be supportive of a club, just be supportive of their kids, especially. Like, what I want from parents is to be supportive of their kids, don't be too tough on them. I've seen that before, where parents be way too tough on the kids and yell too much in the stands and stuff like that, and whereas kids don't really have much fun anymore in wrestling. So I want to make sure the way I coach, the way I have parents, of my club, that they let the kids have fun and learn the fun way, and that's the main goal. And just be great parents, and be supportive of their kids. And if that's going to happen, because I will be supportive of their kids as well, and that's the main thing. And on top of that, if they want to donate or you want to help me out and in some sort of way, to have more opportunities to go to more tournaments, or maybe eventually like go to Dagestan to the camp to train, where they have one lifetime opportunity to go and train the best, culture in the world. Eventually, I want to do that. So if parents, can help me out, help us out to make that happen, things like that. So that's what I'm looking for.
Is the training center on Instagram and social media?
I'm going to launch the business really soon in here, so I'm almost done. Well, I don't really do too much of a business side. My fiance, she's amazing, Katie. She does a lot of things. I'll just do more of a recruiting, and coaching and do all stuff and little finances, but she helps me a lot. So as soon as website is over, as soon as we're going to have some cool social media highlights and things like that, we're going to start launching it pretty soon in here. So it's called Team Nazar Training Center, and it's coming up really quick. So coming up really quick.
And once that gets launched, let me know, and I'll push that out across all of my social. Everybody listening, if you guys go support him, go follow him, and be on the lookout for that. And last thing here before I let you go, any last words for me? Any final words for these fans?
Yes, absolutely. So first one, if you guys follow my career, I really appreciate and grateful to have you. Thank you very much for all my matches. Hopefully I gave you the right show, the good matches, and thank you. Thank you very much about that. And also, if you live in Wisconsin, if you're a kid and you're trying to get better, you're more than welcome to have you and Team Nazar and just be part of something great. We have a lot of great things going on, so come over, check it out, and win some titles, win some gold.
I love it. Well, listen, man, thank you for taking some time today. I'm excited to start following your coaching career. Thank you as a wrestling fan for everything you've done for the sport. It's been such fun to watch your matches. And, when the U.S. won the Clubs Cup in 2016 over Iran in the finals, that was such a cool moment. And your match was so critical to that. So you definitely have a lasting impact on the sport and in this country. So as a fan, thank you. And I'm sure this won't be the last time. You'll have to come back on and give me a Team Nazar Training Center update shortly.
Absolutely, will do. Thank you very much for doing your job. You're doing amazing, and keep doing what you're doing as well. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We'll talk soon. And that is it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. If you did enjoy this episode of the podcast, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more episodes. For more wrestling content, be sure to follow Baschamania on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and follow me. I'm at JBash on Instagram and at JustinJBash on Twitter. I'll be back with another episode shortly. See ya.
And the beat goes on, goes on, goes on.